I'm delighted to say we've got a really talented and experienced panel to debate this today. So let me introduce them individually and then I'll ask them to talk a little bit about their experience. So firstly, I've got Amber Lawson, who's Senior Manager for Marketing Strategy, Premium Select at Marriott for EMEA. And she has won an amazing Gold Award at the 2024 Data and Marketing Association Awards for her campaign on food waste. So we'd love to hear more about that. Over to Vidar. Vidar Thomason is Director of Zennio UK with over 30 years experience in building automation industry, focusing on hospitality, commercial and residential. We then have Kendra Ingram, who's business manager at Philips TV, again with a wealth of experience on leading organizations and specifically in the hospitality sector. And very much in the practical seat, we have Martin Lewis from Bluestone Resorts, who's an environmental scientist by academic background, but was also in 2023 named as Wales's 100 Change Makers by the Future Generations Commissioner, and in 2024, Institute of Directors, Wales Sustainability Director of the Year. And I think this 2025, you've had an award from the King's Foundation.
The first resort in the UK to win a King's Award for Sustainable Development.
So I think we've got a very, very, very credible panel. So could I just ask you, Amber, do you want to just talk us through, this food waste project and, how that came about and the results? Perhaps I could go to you, Vidar. Do you want to talk to us about a particular success story in your recent history? Or your long history?
Or long history, rather. Yeah, well, it's kind of every hotel project we implement at the moment, because everything we do is geared towards reducing energy consumption and running costs. Not only just to improve the bottom line of all your hoteliers out there, but of course to achieve the targets which are now becoming a part of legislation. Let's remember a couple of important facts. 80% of what we call the carbon emission of a building happens after it's built. Only 20% of the carbon emission is what we call embedded carbon. That's the carbon it takes to build a building. So the biggest and the easiest win for you is actually reducing running costs. And that generally can only be done by technology. There is another aspect to this, and we have a perfect example in this building. This is an old building, and there is not that much you can do with the fabric of the building. So you then have to implement technologies around in the building in order to reduce its carbon footprint, energy consumption, and improve your bottom line.
Thank you. And over to you, Kendra. I mean, what you do is very much absolutely in the operation and the day-to-day.
Yes, it follows on really, really nicely from what you're saying, the technology. And at Philips, we have created a whole division to look at sustainability, and actually not just sustainability with our products, which is obviously, as a manufacturer, that is the core of what we do, but social sustainability as well. But on the product side, we're very much looking at what's going to be available in the next 5 to 10 years, not just next year. And we're putting a lot of energies into our zero energy products, which we really think, that's going to be where the world is going. And technology is moving so quickly now that, people look at the zero products that we've got at the moment and they're like, oh, it doesn't do this and doesn't do that. And I said, yes, but just wait in 5 years. That's what's going to happen. And, we're really proud that we're one of the very, very few electronics companies that's EPIT Gold certified now.
Could you explain to me what EPIT is?
It's a worldwide organisation that gives awards on the green energy, and it's not just on the products. So we've got signage products, so the big signage screens like we've got here, that are now made from recycled plastics. The actual product, the casings all our boxes are completely recyclable, including used to get the little plastic bags with the power leads in. They're all paper bags now, so everything can be recycled. And actually, I think you're going to talk about it later on. It has an impact on financially on every bit of the chain, because I don't know whether you realise that your hoteliers, when you get the TVs delivered and they're put on the wall, the old-fashioned boxes with the plastic, it costs to recycle those.
Yeah.
And it's very expensive to recycle it. So to even have products where all the packaging is recyclable is a major step forward.
Yeah. And thank you. Martin, would you like to, for those of you in the audience who don't know Bluestone Resorts, do you want to explain that whole concept and what you do?
Yeah, definitely. But first of all, I just agree with all of these really, and all of them are talking about efficiency and saving money as well. So for those who aren't quite so switched on to the sustainability piece, most people in your company will be switched on to the saving money piece, and they're all interlinked. We like to see ourselves really as a kind of a business case for sustainability. It's our whole brand proposition. And Bluestone it's a village-based resort. A bit like, the sorts of the big village-based resorts you're probably familiar with across the UK. But it's on a slightly different model, really. So instead of taking a beautiful place, like a forest, it's the usual sort of thing that these companies take, and then putting a business within it, sort of destroying part of it, and then looking to sustain the environment around it and build a business. Bluestone was the brainchild of a farmer. So it's a dairy farm, a 500-acre dairy farm in Pembrokeshire. It now employs 900 staff. But what they've done is they've transformed and regenerated an area of low ecological value and created the nature reserve around the hospitality business itself, all together with this idea of regenerative tourism. So the biodiversity, the local economy, the local supply chains, 30% ownership to the staff, all these different things coming together, percentage of profit to local communities, having this whole regenerative process. So the whole thing is about giving back and improving all areas of the E, the S, the G, or the economic, the social and the environmental parts of the sustainability piece. So we like, and for us, it's great for business. We position ourselves as a business that's doing this, and we feel that it's really helping us to attract the right kind of guest as well.
Thank you for those introductions. And I think what's really clear is, sustainability can save you money. Operationally, this is, whether it's food waste, whether it's, energy or resources consumption in the widest sense, there are huge opportunities. Just to sort of come up a bit in our helicopter, I mean, probably maybe you two as brands, operating brands, do you organisationally consider sustainability a compliance cost or an opportunity, a value-creating opportunity? I mean, shall I start with you, Amber?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and certainly outside of today, I've heard of, certainly ESG reporting becoming key to RFPs, corporate RFPs. So it's good. Martin, again, same question to you, really. Value driver or compliance cost? I can guess your answer.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely a value driver. A big theme that's run through today, which I've sort of taken notes of, my little notepad in my pocket, was around this, and it's something we've thought about, and is around this personalisation piece. And people really want that. They want to feel like something is for them, and they want it to feel personal. And our the value for us is around values, actual values, people's values. So we target a guest who's discerning, who are looking for brands that align with their values, their personal values. And we see that guest as value in sustainability, the environment, the local aspects around where our hospitality businesses are, the local communities. So we aspire to be a brand a brand of honour, we're calling it. It's a bit like a badge of honour, but a brand of honour where people would be proud to say that they holiday at Bluestone. We'll go recognise it and say, oh, great, yeah, they do some great things. So, and it's around this personalisation piece. We're seeking those customers and those guests that have this value system where these are the brands they want, and we want to be able to be seen. It was alluded to earlier as well, actually, around, I think you just said it, actually, that people want to make a sustainable choice, but they think it's a difficult choice because they're not sure where the information sits. So if you're a brand that's doing something doing sustainability well, tell people, communicate it well, because people will see it and they will be attracted by it because they think it's difficult, but it isn't. But you've got to show them it's easy. And I think that's something that I'm learning from this personalization piece as well.
Thank you. We'll come back to that in a moment. I mean, obviously, we've talked a lot today about technology, and at times it's hinted on sustainability. I mean, certainly from my perspective, I think in other industries, technology is being harnessed more effectively to help with sustainability. What's your opinion on that? Do you think this sector is really harnessing the technology available to help deliver this?
The hospitality sector has some problems that some other sectors doesn't have, and that is, of course, the structure of ownership and running, and the viewpoint of you as hoteliers can actually be quite different from the ones who are actually building the building and actually in many times, or most of the times, are actually paying for this technology going into the building and doesn't necessarily see the effects of it. So that is
That's a challenge.
That's a challenge. That's no doubt about it. That can work against whatever plans you might have. What we are seeing is that, and it ties very nicely into what he was saying about personalization, is that we are getting more and more requests from hoteliers and customers where we are installing our systems where they want individual energy measuring on room basis, so they can display to the guest, you know, how much hot water are you using, how much electricity are you using, and so on and so forth. And
so those, as I refer to those really active evangelist type customers can almost get rewarded.
Correct,
yeah.
exactly
or
that,
at least,
and you get you get a
transparency.
smiley face on your bill when you leave, you know, because you have stayed within certain limits. And this is something we did the first project, and I think it was in France 6 or 7 years ago, and now the last few years it really has come more onto the agenda, and more customers are asking for it and are actively using it in their marketing, and to make their guests much more aware of what's happening during their stay.
Thank you. And Kendra?
I tend to find that it's the people who want to save energy costs are the big ones.
Money first.
It's the money. It's the money first. We saw a big spike when the oil prices went up massively, and then we got a lot of hotels, especially the very, very large ones, coming to us and then really buying into it and seeing the results. We've got a few hotel groups that at 2,000 rooms, and when you're saving £5 or £10 a year, that massively adds up. I'm seeing it less probably in the luxury market. We still have the problem that sometimes the designers of rooms will trump sustainability and cost. If it looks good, they don't really care so much. Yeah. I get a lot of that, but I'm hoping it's changing. We carry on pushing the message, and I think what I think will happen is that the younger generation are coming up and will demand it, as we've been saying, the guests coming to your place, and I'm hoping that attitudes will change and they will see that is what the guests are demanding and will buy into it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of you know I can't say it, Sustainable Hospitality Alliance, but certainly sitting in that group, there is quite a lot of question on the quality of reporting and the quality of data that hotels are managing to put together, and that sense of truth. Will, I don't know how we describe this, technology really help with that reporting? Maybe that's a question for you, Vidar.
100%, no doubt about it. Everything we do is actually based on collecting data, enabling the hotelier and the maintenance people and housekeeping or whatever it is to make good decisions. And how you use the data is, of course, up to the individual hotelier, but it's there for you to extract if you want to do it. And we can then take it further, and we can implement it with various types of maintenance or housekeeping apps and so on and so forth. But just simple things like maintenance, keeping things like your HVAC system up to scratch saves money before you actually started implementing anything else, because it works at this optimum functionality instead of being, just and so having the data and knowing what's happening and see that something is probably going to happen before it happens actually will save you money, and significant money in energy consumption, in maintenance cost, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. You touched on it, I think, earlier, when we're talking about guest expectations and that guest engagement. I mean, I think one of the challenges for the industry at the moment, there is no single set of standards. There are various accreditations, but as a consumer, it's quite confusing. So maybe start with you, Martin. How do you sort of balance guest expectations and give them confidence? How do you build the confidence with the customer?
No.
And dare I say the word greenwashing?
You've got to avoid greenwashing, absolutely. That's a great sort of hanger to put it on, really, that greenwashing piece. And the Green Claims Code, which is a piece of legislation which protects businesses that are actually doing genuine, substantiated sustainability work. There's quite big fines in place now. I think it's up to 10% of revenue, which is, that could bankrupt many organizations. But for us, until there is this kind of level playing field with a piece of legislation or a standard within the industry, what we're doing is we're looking for third-party verification. So any claims we make, any work that we do around sustainability, whether it's food waste, similarly to Amber, we've been working hard on food waste as well, working with some good partners too, or if it's energy reduction, or it's decarbonising, or if it's biodiversity, or the other things that you do to build your reputation. You need to be getting all of your, you need solid data to be able to back it up, and third-party substantiation. That's key for us. So where we get that from industry partners, we do that from verification organizations, but where we can't get that, something that we're doing more and more of now is working with academia. Yeah. So we're working with 4 different universities at the moment on several different sustainability projects, where we're having long-term research projects being delivered. We've got 3 different PhDs being done at Bluestone at the moment on various things, linked to energy, linked to biodiversity, and that gives you credible, quantifiable, substantiated evidence that can back up any claims that you make. And the type of guest that we're looking for, that has this values-based kind of vision of what they want to do with their hard-earned money, they recognize that. And for us, it's really working well. We find that it creates great conversations with our guests. And it doesn't have to be in their face. You can make it a really fun sort of piece of comms or PR. But as long as you make sure that within that piece, you state your verification process, so that people can, if they choose to, they can go and find that evidence to support it. Otherwise, you fall down.
Anybody else like to come in on that? I'm very aware now that there's some third parties like Booking who are starting to put a sustainability value score, is probably a good word, against organisations. How do you feel about that? I mean, maybe over to Vidar and Kendra, who you're sitting close to real data. And also from a brand point of view? Well,
in terms of new build and new building, there are various organizations who certify buildings. BREEAM is one of them. And so it's moderately easy to achieve this, if you follow, what is good practice today and modern technologies. The problem comes when you are in a building like this, or where it doesn't matter what you do, you will not achieve any BREEAM or similar accreditation, because the building is not up for it, and well, by law, you wouldn't be able to change it either because it's a listed building. So you're doomed if you do, and you're doomed if you don't.
Two pieces of legislation doing that. Yeah.
Exactly. So in terms of what happened in you, it is, you can, oh, my building is BREEAM, or there is 2 or 3 other similar organizations who certified buildings, if they are up to scratch when it comes to energy consumption and carbon emissions and so on and so forth. And that's, it's more difficult.
Yeah. Kendra, anything to add on that?
Can you repeat what you said?
Oh, we just talked about organisations like Booking starting to
okay.
impose scoring, sustainability scoring on their system, which is quite questionable, really.
Yeah. How would they do that? I mean,
that is an interesting question.
No. That's all I'm saying. How would they do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
greenwashing.
Yeah, that is greenwashing.
Yeah, that's a good point, because that scares organisations like ours who are doing really great work.
Yeah.
Where are they getting their information from?
Yeah.
How are they scoring it? Once they've given you a score, it's very hard to make that go away again.
Yes.
If it's not, I think the sooner there's an industry standard, perhaps, or a body that can authenticate this, then you don't let those organisations come in.
We have it in our industry. There are accreditations, and you would not believe what we have to do to go through those. So
It is. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I'm very aware of time, and everybody has luckily got a drink.
We haven't.
No, we haven't. We've got water. Very pleased to see Martin, if any of you know, is wearing the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which, if you do your homework, that's what all this comes from. I think what's interesting from that is it's often described as a triple bottom line, isn't it? 17 goals boil down to people, planet, and profit, and the absolute intrinsic interdependence of those, so you cannot think about sustainability without thinking about sustainable organizations, financial and people. You touched on it a little bit, but how do you make sure that, you've got a fantastic environmental, biodiverse business, but what do you do for your community? What are you putting back from a social sustainability point of view?
Yes, it's a good point. So people often forget that when they talk about sustainability, some people sort of get in this tunnel of it's either to do with the environment or to do with carbon, and they lose track of the social piece. It's 1/3 of the mix.
And to be fair, it's amongst Gen Z, possibly the people side is more important.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose first of all, 30% of our business is owned by our staff, so that's pretty good for the social element. We're the largest employer in our area. Pembrokeshire is an absolutely beautiful place. In fact, the only national park which is a coastal national park in the whole of the UK. But the population is really, we have 200,000 guests a year. There's only 100,000 people in Pembrokeshire. So, so we have a huge impact on the county, and we try very hard to make it positive. So what we do is we ensure that we have a local supply chain. We give a percentage of our profit to local community groups. We work with them. We also give up assets to the community too. So we've got a water park, the Blue Lagoon Water Park, a wonderful pool with wave machines and the lazy rivers and the slides and things like that. We don't have anything like that locally. So what we do is we give every other month, we give that over to a community group in the community. So any non-profit organisation. We service the building for the night, and they run an event there, charge people to come in, and it raises £6,000 or £7,000 for that charity. They keep all the profit. And we're trying to build that in, and we're going to try and make that monthly and keep moving it. So there's an opportunity, I suppose, for other hospitality businesses to give up an asset to the local community, perhaps to raise funds directly. So when they come to the pool, they're not coming to support us, they're coming to support their favourite local community, or just because they want to swim. But so there's quite a lot of work going on in the community for us.
Thank you. Kendra, anything, or any of you on the social side?
We do quite a lot. It's probably not so much in the UK, but we do an awful lot from head office in Amsterdam. So that's where a lot of it goes. We don't actually have offices in any of our other countries. So we have head office in Amsterdam and tech centre in Belgium. They put so much back into the local community. especially in the Netherlands, a lot of sort of pushing people into not using their cars. I think they've actually taken away the car allowance for some people.
Yeah.
So you have to use public transport or the bikes and things like that. So, yeah, but in the UK, we all live at home. So we're saving money.
Thank you. Vidar?
We are up to much of the same. We are a Spanish company, and we are very proud that all manufacturing we do is in Spain. We do no manufacturing in China whatsoever, or anywhere else for that matter. And then, of course, that reduces
The footprint, yeah.
our carbon emission. It's actually one thing, the local thingy is actually something very important to remember, because one of the arguments I heard almost every day, oh, but I buy wind power or solar power. Well, you buy wind power from mills made in China, shipped over. You buy your solar power from solar panels made in China. It's not necessarily as green or sustainable as it makes out to be. Furthermore, if we are going to have any chance of reaching the electrification which is required of us over the next 10 to 20 years, there has to be a massive development of the grid. The offshore wind farms, they can't send the electricity through the air. There has to be a grid connection, and this has major consequences for nature. There has major consequences for local communities who will getting pylons and by the hundreds, by the thousands, and these are not carbon neutral either, if anybody thinks that. So anything you can do in order to reduce the consumption so we don't have to expand that much will help tremendously.
And save money. Money.
Correct.
Amber,
Correct.
is there anything you'd like to add on the social? So I just give a quick moment. Are there any questions from the floor? I can't see because I've got a light in my eyes. Otherwise, I'd like to thank our panel tonight for firstly sticking with us and the false start, but thank you, really interesting contribution. I think ultimately the key message for this is, it saves you money, and the data is showing customers want this. We've just got to make it easy for them. So thank you very much.
Thank you.